Hey guys, hope you're doing well today. I thought I'd do something just a little bit different, and I thought I would review a book that I've read. It's The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I know a lot of people have read this book and there's a lot of reviews on the internet about it, and a lot of people seem to say it's one of their favourite books, and I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about why I like it and why I recommend reading it. For anyone that doesn't know about Paulo Coelho, where have you been? He's international bestseller, he writes amazing books, and I think this is probably one of the most well known that he's written. It basically tells the story about Santiago, who is a shepherd boy, and he goes on a journey through the desert, and he basically has to go through lots of trials and tribulations before he eventually finds what it is that he's looking for. I don't want to spoil the story too much if you haven't read the book, but it's one of those stories that it talks a lot of truth, and when you read it sometimes it almost feels like it's the kind of book that's been written just for you. It seems to, no matter how many times I read it, there's always something new that I can find from it, and something new that I notice in the next time that I read it. There's a lot of things in the book that are almost mythical, that sort of require you to suspend your belief just a little bit and just to go along with the story. It kind of means that you have to read it without judging it, I think. I've lent this book to lots of people. A few have said I love it, a few have said I can't stand it, it wasn't for me. But I think if you try and read it with an open mind, then you'll get much more out of the book. It sort of feels like it's the kind of story that there's definitely a moral in it, but it's so well written that you almost don't realise you're reading it until right at the very end, and then everything suddenly drops into place and you can see a lot about how the story's developed and how the moral has actually been there right from the beginning. There's a few quotes that I've copied out that I keep in my little box of awesome quotes, so I thought I'd share them with you here. The first one is, when you really want something, the universe always conspires in your favour. And I think that's something that, I don't know why it is that that quote always jumps out at me, but I think it's something quite powerful, that when you really are truly putting your mind to doing something, we can sometimes see how things seem to go our way once we set our mind on doing something, and we set ourselves on that path, and we find that things kind of drop into place. That was something that I think drew me to that quote. Another of the quotes in there is, "The darkest hour of the night comes just before dawn," which is another quote that I try and remind myself when things aren't going so well. I think it's another powerful quote, that just to keep on going with things. I know I seem to say that a lot in my videos, but just to keep on going, and when you're just about to give up hope in life, that does tend to be the time that everything changes and swings back to your favour. The last one is a slightly longer quote, which I think is also quite relevant. It is, "Before a dream is realised, the soul of the world tests everything that was learned along the way." And then it continues, "Most people give up. It's the point at which we say, in the language of the desert, one dies of thirst just when the palm trees have appeared on the horizon. Every search begins with beginner's luck, and every search ends with the victors being severely tested." I think that's another quote that reminds me of how life can be sometimes, that we feel like we make mistakes, and people tend to say, "Oh, I always make the same mistakes," and I think that's what is really hit on here, is if we are making the same mistakes, we need to analyse why that is, and what it is that we haven't learnt, that we're trying to be taught, because we make mistakes for a reason. As they say, you know, we always learn better once we've made a mistake. And I always try and think that if something's not going well, or I think, oh, I've been here before, this is, you know, this situation's played out before, I try and think of this book and try to think of that quote and think, what is it that I'm missing, what is it that I need to learn from this situation before I can move on to the the next level. All in all, I would definitely recommend picking up a copy of this book. Even if you've not read it before, just pick it up and see what you think of it. And if you have read it before, it's one of those books that it only takes a couple of hours to read. I guarantee once you pick it up, you won't be able to put it down until you've finished it. And you'll definitely learn something from it, or pick up something new from it. It's a real talking point. It's one of those books that most people have at least heard of, if not read. So in conversation, a few times I've found myself saying, "Oh, have you read that book by Paulo Coelho?" And I think it's one of those books that people have definitely got an opinion on, and you'd be mad not to read it, because it's a really good read. So I hope you've liked this video, guys, and I will be back again with another book review quite soon, and I will leave in the description box where you can buy Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. I definitely would recommend it. So I hope you're having a good day, guys, and I'll be back again soon with another video. Bye!